Nice to see a few people in the public gallery. So I'd just like to remind you that it is a business meeting and I'm sure there won't be any interruptions to any of the proceedings. Thank you. So we've got the usual housekeeping messages. There are no fire alarm tests planned for this evening, so if the alarm sounds, please leave the chamber by the nearest door, then follow the illuminated fire exit signs and assemble in the car park at the rear of the building. And obviously, please make sure all your phones and tablets are either on silent or switched off. So during the course of this meeting, we will treat each other with respect, every single person in this chamber right now. You do have the right to film the meeting if you want, but if you're planning on doing that, I would like to know. So if you are planning on filming, can you raise your hands, please? Take that as a no then, thank you. So our apologies for absence. We've received apologies from Councillors Blair, Higgs, Preston, Wells, Smith, Swatton, Martin, Kay, Collinson and Rayner. Are there any more apologies? No? So the next item on the agenda is confirmation of the minutes. We've got two sets of minutes to approve this evening. So first, can I please have a proposal that the minutes of the full council meeting held on the 16th of April 2026 be approved as a correct record?
Happy to propose those.
Thank you. Is there a seconder?
Second it, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Does anyone want to comment on the factual accuracy of the minutes or propose an amendment? Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's just a factual amendment. The Labour Group wishes to put forward to the notice of motion minutes at para 79 of the it's on page 12. Thank you. Hopefully that amendment is in front of members, but if not, I shall read it out. We think there's some vital context as to why the Labour Group abstained to that motion. Currently, the minutes state he described the motion as unclear and premature. The words possibly inaccurate need to be inserted, i.e. unclear, premature and possibly inaccurate. Without that context, the reader won't understand that Labour abstained largely because the motion was based on conjecture, not fact. And to ensure the minutes are reflective of Labour's actual stance on the sentiment of the motion, the minutes would benefit from some key words, i.e. he encouraged all councillors to respond to the government consultation calling for more democracy, not less. Without these changes, the Labour stance is not accurately portrayed, so I would ask that you approve those factual amendments. Thank you.
So thank you. We've checked these and these are factual amendments that I'm happy to accept. They haven't been circulated to everybody though. So just to clarify again, in minute 79, the fourth paragraph, what you're asking for is the additional wording of calling for more democracy in the planning process, not less. And then in the next sentence, he described the motion as unclear, premature and possibly inaccurate. So those are the proposed amendments, which as I said, are accurate amendments that can be accepted. Are there any further amendments? Yes, and we need a seconder. I'll second.
So taking that factual amendment. Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The problem with amendments like this, members and Mr. Mayor, is that we as the Conservative group could then say that we call on Poulton-le-Fylde and the Labour group to show a bit of gusto and actually just vote properly and vote in favour of it rather than rolling the decision over. And guess what? The response to the consultation is out, and guess what? They didn't listen to a word of it and they're doing all of it, if not worse than was known at the time. So possibly inaccurate is not a correct amendment. the officers, following discussions, because people didn't think the minutes were as detailed, members will note that there is more information in them now than there was this time 12 months ago. And yet here we are again, where they don't say exactly what the Labour group want them to say. I'm happy that as a general summary that those minutes are accurate, and I would urge members to vote against.
Right. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Sorry, I've got to disagree with Councillor Vincent. Obviously, we're not asking for whole paragraph changes. We're asking for crucial words that have been omitted. I mean, it's like me saying to Councillor Vincent, it gets recorded, I'm not going to kill you. Well, it gets recorded as I'm going to kill you. It's one word. It can make an awful... No, what I'm trying to say is it makes a heck of a lot of difference.
Well, are you all right?
And those missed words, well, yeah. Well, those missed words do make the sentiments totally different to how they appear. And I think, as the Chief Executive said, they are inaccurate and we want to make them accurate through just a few words being included. I don't see that there is a problem with that.
Move the vote.
Thank you. I think Councillor Higginson wanted to say something.
Yeah, I'm just astonished that the leader of the council doesn't want accurate minutes printed. I think it's what our residents in the borough would want, some accuracy. So, you know, I don't know what this. It isn't exactly what the Labour Group means. It's about accuracy and truth. It's as simple as that. I don't know why you can't support the amendment. Thank you.
Move the vote.
Councillor Fail.
At the last meeting, we agreed a factual amendment put forward by the Conservative group, and we backed that because it was a factual amendment. This is a factual amendment. If you want to listen to the recording of what was said, these words were said, possibly inaccurate. It doesn't matter what transpired after that. At the time, that's what I said, and I also said I was calling for more democracy in the planning process, not less. So this is exactly what I said, yet nobody wants to put it. In the past, we've had at a cabinet meeting somebody pretending that they said something when they didn't, and it got minuted. So this is the other side of the coin. This is completely outrageous that the Labour group should be misrepresented in this way, and I think the public deserve to read what was actually said and what the sentiment of those, not every single word, but the sentiment of the discussion at the time. And it was a key point that it was possibly inaccurate, as advised by the Chief Planner at the time, in the meeting beforehand, and I would advise everybody to vote for factual amendments, otherwise we're going down a very slippery slope.
Thank you, Councillor Fail. Chief Executive has accepted that the amendment is valid, so we now move on to a vote. Asking members present at the 16th of April meeting who are in favour of confirming the minutes as a correct record. Oh, sorry, we need to vote on the amendment first, don't we? Those in favour of the amendment, please raise your hands. Those against, please raise your hands.
The Ministry of Truth. Not something you'd appreciate. Newspeak.
Now, I know it's strange asking people to put their hands up if they're abstaining, but please do. Thank you. So the amendment's been defeated. Therefore, with those members present at the 16th of April meeting who are in favour of confirming the minutes as a correct record, please clearly indicate by raising your arm. And those against?
Not opposed.
Any abstentions? So the minutes are confirmed, thank you. So we have a second set of minutes, so can I please have a proposal that the minutes of the annual council meeting held on the 14th of May 2026 be approved as a correct record? Thank you. Thank you. Does anybody want to comment on the factual accuracy of the minutes or propose an amendment?
Would it be any good?
Depends if it's factual accurate.
Take that as a no then. So would those members present at the 14th of May meeting and are in favour of confirming the minutes as a correct record, please clearly indicate by raising your arm. Thank you. That's carried. The minutes of the 14th of May are confirmed. The next item on the agenda is item 3, which is declarations of interest. So, do any members or officers have any interest to declare on any items included on the agenda?
Thank you. I'd like to declare a pecuniary interest regarding agenda item 12, according to the director. I am the subject matter, so I will be leaving the chamber.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I anticipate that tonight there might be questions on the old store 21, Marks and Spencer's in Fleetwood. My firm acted on behalf of the current tenant when they took their lease. So if I could ask that any questions on that would be directed to Councillor Marinell. It's his portfolio rather than to me, because I won't be able to answer them. And if any questions do come up, I'll declare an interest just in case.
Right. So the next item is item number 4, announcements. And I've got one. Over the last few months, I've had the privilege of attending a number of armed forces events and meeting local veterans from across the borough. These experiences have reinforced the important contribution that they make to our country and community, and I believe they deserve our continued respect, recognition and support. I'd encourage all councillors to engage with local veteran and armed forces groups in their wards and areas. A list of some of the groups currently operating in Wyre is available on the council website, but if you do check that and you see anything missing, please let them know. So these include Armed Forces and Veterans Breakfast Garstang, Armed Forces Brunch Cleveleys, Veterans Coffee Morning Presall and Knott End, Friends of Cleveleys Library Coffee Mornings, Men's Shed Fleetwood Coffee Mornings, Duke of Lancaster Regimental Association meetings in Fleetwood, and I would add the brand new Veterans Shed at Fleetwood, which I had the privilege of attending with Councillor Jones, who cut the ribbon. And I can tell you it's an amazing facility, so please encourage anyone to make use of it. We're on to public questions or statements, item 5.
Mr. Mayor, can I raise a small point of procedure, which hopefully colleagues would agree to? Since the sad death of the Mayor's attendant, we have no one bringing in the mace before the meeting. And I wonder whether you and other officers would consider suggesting, for example, that a local charity or a local community organisation could put one of their number forward in order to bring the mace in before the council meeting, and as a result of that they would get a letter of thanks from the Mayor, or perhaps even a small contribution to their funds, but it would rotate until such time as we reappoint a Mayor's attendant, or indeed till this council vanishes under local government organisation. It occurs to me that it might just be a way of involving the community in the mayoralty and the way that we conduct our meetings, and I wonder whether you might consider it.
Well, I think it's a very community-based idea. I've got no problem with it, but I do anticipate some difficulties in the organisation of it. But if that can be overcome, subject to other officers agreeing, I've certainly got no problem with that. So we're now on to item 5, public questions or statements, and we have received one public question and it's been accepted by the Chief Executive. So the question's been submitted by Mr. Mark Davis, and this has been attached to your agenda packs at pages 19 and 20. We have Mr. Davis in attendance, so would you please come to the lectern to read out your question. It says that you have 5 minutes to do so, but at the end of 5 minutes, if you haven't quite finished, if my hand goes up, please wind up as quickly as you can.
I shouldn't take that long there. Just to introduce Mark Davis, I'm a resident of Jubilee Ward, but I'm also a plot holder at Occupation Road allotments in Thornton, which is a separate subject to what I'm discussing tonight. That's just my background. The closure of the Occupation Road and Samuel Avenue allotment sites leave only 7 plots, not sites, plots available in the Wyre Borough allotments. This has highlighted a long-standing, personal opinion, an embarrassing low provision of allotments by Wyre Borough Council over a long period of time. Nothing at all to do with the contamination, just a lack of provision. The long closed waiting list demonstrated that there is a demand within the borough that is not being catered for. I'd like to put on the record the Council's position and justification for it in light of the statutory requirements by legislation starting the 1908 Small Buildings and Allotments Act and subsequent acts in 1922, 25 and 50. The amount of house building, etc. going on in the borough is section 106 funding not available to develop more allotment sites within the borough for the purchase of land if the council does not have its own suitable land bank to provide allotments. Nearby Fylde, for example, has as many sites as Wyre Borough Council currently has available plots. That's sites as opposed to individual plots. Darlington, I'm originally from the northeast, with an almost identical population to Wyre Borough, has over 800 plots across 17 sites. And a ChatGPT search has shown that similar boroughs of the size of Wyre also have a large allotment provision. We've had prior to the Thursday before Good Friday, we had a meeting with Lorraine Beavers, the local MP, and made her aware of the situation in addition to the contamination issue. We've yet to hear anything back from herself. So basically that just draws to your attention the fact that the provision is extremely poor. Myself and my fellow plot holders on Occupation Road currently don't have access to any allotment sites, which is, and personally was quite frustrating. I took over a derelict plot just on the aftermath of COVID. Spent 4 years bringing it up to a site that was providing produce for myself, taking account of the contamination issue. I built raised beds and this year I bought containers to grow in containers to mitigate the risk of the contamination. But with the closure of the site, that's been taken away from us. So can we have some allotment sites away from the ICI Hill House plant, if possible? Thank you.
Thank you for your question, Mr. Davis. Councillor Bridge, as the responsible portfolio holder, would you please respond to the question?
Yes, certainly, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for your question, Mr. Davis. So, the Council recognises how important allotments are for people's health, well-being and sense of community, and we fully understand the concerns that have been raised. Provision of allotments varies widely between local authorities due to differences in geography, land availability, local priorities. So comparisons with such areas as Fylde and Darlington are not directly comparable with Wyre. We're sorry for the impact on the temporary closure of Occupation Road and Sandringham Avenue allotment sites and that the effect it's having on the tenants. We recognise how disruptive it is for those directly affected. Therefore, we must be clear that the Council has not taken the decision to temporarily close the sites lightly. However, following a scientific risk assessment, the Environment Agency has concluded that Occupation Road allotments meets the statutory criteria for formal classification as contaminated land. This assessment identified potential risks to human health as well as possible harm to property, including domestically grown produce. We simply must take this seriously, as our primary responsibility is to protect the residents and allotment holders and to ensure that any potential risks are properly managed and mitigated. Sampling at Sandringham Avenue allotments has confirmed the presence of PFOA in the soil. However, we await a full scientific interpretation and risk assessment from the Environment Agency for this site. Given the proximity to Occupation Road allotments and the findings there, we've taken a precautionary step of closing the site temporarily until we receive further information. Our clear and full intention is that the sites will be remediated where necessary and returned to use as allotments at the earliest opportunity. We're committed to seeing these sites safely restored, and we're obtaining professional advice on best practice in this regard. Wyre continues to provide allotments for residents. However, waiting lists were closed due to the exceptionally high demand and very limited availability, which meant we were unable to offer applicants realistic timescales. This approach is in line with the other councils facing similar pressures. Under the Small Holdings and Allotments Act 1908, the responsibility for providing allotments generally rests with district councils only where there is no parish or town council. For a large part of Wyre, this means provision is instead made at a more local level. There are 8 other allotment sites across Wyre. In areas without a parish or a town council, we of course have a duty to consider providing allotments where there is clear demand, and this is what the council does. However, the legislation does not set a specific number of plots based on population, nor does it require councils to keep waiting lists open indefinitely. In addition, Section 106 contributions must meet strict legal tests and are allocated to a range of contributions unless they have already been specifically secured and legally designed for allotment provision. We know how much allotments mean to people for their well-being, sense of community and the enjoyment we bring, and we remain fully mindful of this in all our decisions and actions. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bridge. Mr Davis, you do have the opportunity to raise a supplementary question if you wish, but it must arise directly from the original question or the reply given. Do you wish to?
Comment, the point of order is not correct. The Occupation Road, and I'm not sure if it was Sandringham, the site's only been open since 1999. It was opened as a consequence of the council selling off the original allotment site on Fleetwood Road, south behind what was the old ambulance station. What due diligence did the council and its officials actually carry out prior to moving us from one site to another that's proved to be contaminated, which, with ICI being in close proximity, could probably be prophesied?
Thank you for that. Councillor Bridge?
All I can say is, I'm sorry, it's 27 years ago. I haven't been on the council that long, never mind on the cabinet. Are we able to supply? Yeah, so may I write to you with that information? Yeah, is that okay? Thank you, Mr Davis. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bridge. Obviously you treat that as a priority, I presume?
Yes,
Thank
absolutely.
you. So that concludes public questions or statements. As we have no questions from members, I presume, the next item is item 7, executive reports. So the first one is the report of the leader of the council. So Councillor Vincent, would you please introduce your report?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. A few updates on the subject of contaminated land and PFOA. The Chief Executive, not me, I've not seen it yet, but the Chief Executive has received a response from SACFI to my letter, which, like anything that comes from LCC these days, since May last year, says it's everyone's fault but ours. That wasn't Rebecca's summary, but that's basically what it says. So I will circulate the completely unsatisfactory response once I've reviewed it properly, and I will also circulate my reply, because we're not going to let them off the hook on this. That report causes me to ask more questions than it answers and needs a lot of work, and that work should have been done before it was published, not after at my prompting. In general terms, the PROFOA investigation has, in my view, reached that stage again where it is taking too long. We have been promised information in a few weeks since about March now or so, certainly around Easter time. So we're going to start sort of applying pressure more strenuously over the summer to try and make sure that information comes out as soon as possible. And the government also needs to start applying pressure, or helping the EA apply pressure, to the suspected polluter, because they are 4 stages behind us and it's not acceptable. Quickly on Morvannin, if you've seen the response from soon-to-be Chancellor Miliband, that just about sums up what his opinion on whether communities want jobs and economic development, or they want wind farms and cables to destroy their communities. He is on his own with all of that, but it would appear that Mr Burnham, who likes to spend millions of pounds on a ULEZ scheme that he never actually introduces, also likes wasting public money on ridiculous schemes, so we'll see how that one unravels. Finally, the structural changes order response is annexed to my report. It was confirmed. The only interesting thing to happen so far, we await a decision, it's coming in about 3 weeks, to come out of the civil servants at their latest update, which the Chief Executive was kind enough to attend for me, she can actually stay awake for them, was that this council will not have any further elections. So there will be no more elections for this council, there will be unitary council elections for the shadow authority, and then we will cease to exist. That is still the timetable, that is still their intention. But because this government is so competent, what their plan, loosely used the word plan there, is to bring the structural changes order forward in March. So effectively, this council will have to prepare for 2 sets of elections. All political parties and candidates wanting to seek election will have to prepare for 2 elections with different services that they may need to offer, etc., in the hope that the government this time don't make an absolute pig's ear at making sure the elections don't go ahead like they did this year. So it's extra work, it's utterly ridiculous, and it puts a huge burden on this council, and there will be no additional funding.
That concludes your report, Councillor?
It can do. I'm sure I'll be asked questions, Mr. Byrne.
Yes, that was my next question. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Councillor Fail, I think your hand went up first.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. With regard to paragraph 2.5 and Jameson Road, since the last functional full council meeting in April, there have been some definite moves in the right direction with regard to Jameson Road. Firstly, the issuing of an abatement notice by Wyre Council on the 30th of April, and secondly, the issuing of the variation of permit notice to Transwaste, allowing only the dumping of inert waste. It is good that Wyre and the Environment Agency have taken action, but even with that, there is seemingly no end in sight to the environmental scandal. It is also good news that landfill operators will face stricter regulation and stronger enforcement powers, but it remains unclear if these powers will enable this council and the Environment Agency to be able to take the actions residents want them to. The residents in Wyre have had to put up with the stink for so long is evidence that this country desperately needs a recycling and waste strategy fit for the 21st century. We need a nationwide strategy that reduces the need for landfill, one that reduces the need for the dumping of hazardous materials, and one that takes fully into account the proximity of residents. At present, we continue to store up problems for future generations. Even when this particular landfill is closed, it will need to be continually managed with future threats such as rising sea levels having to be addressed. The last couple of years have proven that where residents are in close proximity to a landfill, there is an inability to safely dump hazardous materials. This Labour group have formally called on Wyre Council for the controlled closure of the Jameson landfill within a short period. We fully recognise the difficulties the council faces in meeting such a target, but it can but try. Given the issues residents have been facing, we still don't believe December 2027, when the lease ends, is soon enough. And nor do we believe that residents think December 2027 is soon enough either. What do you think is an acceptable timeframe for closure and the end to the residents' nightmare?
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Vincent.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. What's really disappointing about this is it completely ignores the fact that he should be aware of, and I rang him and had this conversation with him, so he should be aware of these facts. But trans waste were tipping inert waste for weeks, if not months, before the permit was changed. So nothing that they were tipping in the weeks leading up to the permit being changed was causing the smell. The issue was that they didn't know how to run a site properly. And I agree with him that there needs to be better regulation, there needs to be tighter regulation. The EA need to be able to step in and tell trans waste what they have to do. We have a ridiculous situation at the moment where we have regulation that effectively assumes that every provider is a blue chip company who cares about their reputation, when since landfill tax came in, that's not been the case. So the regulations allow the EA to basically say, you've done something wrong. What do you think I'm doing about it? Like you're sort of marking a child's homework and asking them to improve. That regulation system is not fit for purpose. There's no point asking this council to change that. You know who you need to speak to about that, and I know that Lorraine is doing what she can on that, but your government are not listening to her. The changes that have been brought in by the government or announced are not going to change anything. They would not have changed anything at Jameson Road. They are increased criminal sanctions and penalties. The burden of proof to change the permit, like the EA did after all of that time, was the balance of probabilities. Criminal sanctions is beyond all reasonable doubt. So even after all this, we would be nowhere near a prosecution that could lead to criminal convictions. So what they brought in, it's a lovely headline to say they're doing something, but it's not going to change anything in future. If this council had the power to walk in tomorrow and say, right, that's the end of it, leave trans waste, that would be an absolute disaster for the people of Fleetwood. Because we do not have the means to cap off all the skill or any of the information, infrastructure, technical experience or anything else that you need. Trans waste have external contractors, of whom there are very few in the country, who are doing this work, albeit very slowly, as they have been for months. Things are not where they need to be, but they are better than they were. That is proven by the complaints levels. I would love nothing more than when it was capped off and signed off by the EA for trans waste to get back in the van, go to North Yorkshire and never come back. But it's disingenuous to say that this council can come up with a plan to end things sooner. If the permit's taken off trans waste before it's capped off, that is not an ideal situation. If we end the lease earlier than that, we become responsible. Trans waste then don't have access. It becomes even more of a mess than it is now. This is an incredibly complicated situation. My answer to his question, when this should end when it's permanently capped, closed off, and then nobody should tip a single thing on that site ever again. That's for the EA, not for this council.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Higgins.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I beg your indulgence, it's the contamination. I have a few questions again, I'm afraid, but it's important. I wonder if I may start with a point of clarification from the report with regard the differential between inverted commas land classified as contaminated and inverted commas formal determination of contaminated land. I don't know if Councillor Vincent wants to respond to that first, or shall I continue with my questions?
The statutory process of this is quite frankly a mess, in my opinion. And what happens is the EA conduct all of this investigation, we have very little input into it, etc. And the EA then make a recommendation to us to determine the land as being contaminated. Now, that recommendation has been made that we should do that, but we have not yet done that because we think it's appropriate that the polluter and not the taxpayer pays for that clean-up. So we want to give them the opportunity to do that clean-up and arrange that clean-up at their expense, which will ultimately save them money, rather than the taxpayers' expense. That's the limbo we're in at the minute.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can I continue, Mr. Mayor?
You can.
Thank you, Councillor Vincent, that's helpful, because sometimes we look at these reports and it's something looks like something has a yes minister, doesn't it? So that is useful, and yeah, the pollutant should pay, absolutely. I have some questions, so I'll try and make them brief. Can I first of all ask, when do you expect both the Sandringham Avenue and Occupation Road sites to be formally determined as contaminated? The second question is regarding the soil sampling in phase 3 of the residential gardens. What advice has been offered to the said residents, and what is the likely timescale for remediation? Thirdly, if I may, again, thank you, Mr. Mayor, indulge the council with a third question, which has partially been answered, but it's about the report or the response to the letter that you sent regarding further investigations. Whilst I welcome that there's no link to be found regarding kidney cancer, I don't believe the report goes far enough, and I think you're in agreement with that. I read your letter, and I think everyone should be supporting what was in that letter, particularly regarding drilling down into data and looking for potential hotspots. There is still much to do, but to have this response from LCC, we haven't got the detail, but you have the advantage that we haven't. It's everybody else's fault but theirs. I'm absolutely astonished. I'm disappointed, but perhaps I shouldn't be too surprised. What does surprise me, however, Mr. Mayor, is the fact that there aren't more local representatives asking questions that I've been asking for 12 months plus. I'd be very interested to hear, for example, what the local county councillor has got to say on this matter. And yeah, I do believe that this is the very least that residents in this borough can expect, Mr. Mayor. And thank you for my indulgence.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Vincent.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll take the last point first, if I may, Councillor Hickinson. So I haven't seen the response, but the summary that I received from Chief Executive was that actually, when it came to looking at just kidney cancer, the reason why they looked into kidney cancer was because when they looked at the data for other cancer types, there was no evidence to even look at, whereas they thought there might be something in the kidney cancer data, which is why they then looked into the kidney cancer. But that should be in the report. It shouldn't take me writing to the head of public health to get that information from him. What's every resident who's worried going to do? Write him a letter. So when I respond to him, I will be asking him to consider perhaps a forward to his report to put some of this information in there so people have a bit of context about what was done. As for the rest of it, I will circulate the letter, I will circulate my response. I won't speculate about it anymore, you will see a copy of it. As to the clean-ups and the timescale for remediation, I'll take them as one. It is really difficult to say because at the moment, the on-site investigation by the potential polluter is ridiculously slow. And I know that the EA have started to apply more pressure, but we're doing phase 4, planning phase 4, and they haven't published anything from phase 1 yet. And I thought our investigation was slow, but we had DEFRA to get money from, the EA to do it, various agencies to see everything, and then it get published. We've done 3 phases, they've not done 1. So there may come a time where the council has to intervene and do the remediation and the clean-up, but at the minute, where we have the allotments, as much as we would like to get those reopened quickly, that wouldn't say too much, it would obviously be difficult for us to remediate those sites, and then if there were residential properties, not remediate those as well. So we've got a balancing act because we've only got so much money. So we've got all sorts of things to consider. When it comes to the advice to residents, unless you keep animals that lay eggs when you shouldn't eat them, the advice is the same for residents who are at high risk and who are at low risk. And that's if you know don't eat fruit and vegetables you grow in your garden, get raised planters, get pots, grow vegetables in that way. Other than that, like anybody, wash your hands if you've played in the garden, wash your hands if you've your children's hands, things like that. So we haven't got any advice to give beyond that, because the risk is really a historic one in the soil. So the risk comes from the consumption of soil. As long as people are having basic hygiene, there's no ongoing health risk. That's the advice we've received.
Thank you, Councillor Vincent.
Just quickly, if I may, Mr. Just to clarify a point that you said there, Councillor Vincent, I sound a bit thick, I don't know. But when you said the polluter, is that a legal term, or might there be more than one?
I'm being careful not to name.
Sorry, but I do like the precise detail.
I'm being careful not to name them because I've been advised not to name them from this point. No, it's there is one site that did this. There are two companies that have allegedly produced PFAS from that particular site, but it would either be company A for years A to B and then company B from years C to D, if that makes sense. But there's not two companies we're going at that could have done it at the same time, if that makes sense.
I think it does, yeah.
So effectively, the current company may try and say, and they haven't said this, but they may try and say it could have been somebody earlier that did it, not them. But I am told that there is good evidence that that may not be the case.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Minto, we're technically out of time, so if you can make your point quickly.
Yeah, in response to Councillor Higginson, with our council leader's permission, Councillor Livesey and myself took the full team of Dr. Curran around both Hill House and Burnhall sites. This was sometime last year, and we're still awaiting his report on that. So we have been active. Okay.
Thank you for that. So that concludes the leader's report.
I welcome your contribution.
We now move on to the report of the resources portfolio holder. So, Councillor McKay, would you please introduce your report?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. My report's before members, happy to take any questions.
Do we have any questions? No? Thank you.
Well done then.
That concludes the consideration of the resources portfolio holders report. So we'll now move on to the report of the street scene, parks, open spaces.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The report's in front of you, and if you have any questions, I'd be delighted to try and answer them.
Thank you. So we've got two hands. Councillor Duffy, I think yours went first.
No, I wasn't.
Semantics.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councillor Bridge, for the past few years I've raised concerns both within this chamber and directly with officers regarding the proliferation of weeds in Fairhouse Ward and throughout the borough, and the underperformance of Wyre's present contractors. But I am pleased to note that my request, and probably pressure from others as well, on the contractor to improve their performance does seem to have produced more positive results this year. During the initial spray in April, two operatives, rather than the usual one, worked in tandem, and this does appear to have been more effective at keeping the weeds at bay, well, in Fairhouse Ward especially. But that being said, a resurgence of the overgrowth that has blighted our streets and alleys in previous years has started to take hold again, and I believe that it is critical that the second seasonal spray commences without delay. I appreciate it is due to start sometime this month, but what I would ask is, could Fairhouse Ward possibly be at the top of the list when contractors commence, seeing as we've got Tram Sunday in just over 2 weeks, and obviously with everything that's going on at that end of town, it would be nice to see at least it weed-free. But on a more positive note, I would like to highlight the impact that the new Environmental Enforcement Officer, Kate Gunn, is having in Fairhouse Ward. Her efforts in tackling ward issues, particularly fly tipping, is highly commendable. She's knocking on doors, she's talking to residents, she's literally wading through rubbish to gather evidence. She shares my deep commitment and enthusiasm to resolving these systematic problems and is making a notable difference in improving the area. Hopefully those improvements will be maintained. So please pass on my thanks to Kate and also the streets in crew for Fair Ward for undertaking the awful clearance for some really horrendous states sometimes. Their efforts are much appreciated too, and especially more so over the recent heat wave. And lastly, can I just add, at 3.2 of your report you mentioned fixed penalty notices and that none at the new rate have been issued. I think you do know one was issued in the Ball Street area for £1,000 a few weeks ago, so things are moving. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Bridge.
Yeah, first of all, as I always say, we are blessed with a fabulous workforce. And Kate's just the latest of an excellent officer who goes the extra mile. They call them 4%ers, don't they? People that do that extra bit. So, yeah, really very acutely aware about the importance of Tram Sunday for Fleetwood, not just for their money, but for the community and everything else. I'll try and organise that it gets hit very first. All right. And as for the £1,000 fine, well, if you commit the crime, you pay the fine.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, as often as we can, we will. Okay.
Councillor Fail.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. With regards to the Jubilee Gardens master plan, you were going to say that. I thought this was an opportune time to provide you some feedback. There are many things to applaud in the plans, and I'm sure they will be supported by residents. However, I'm also sure that there is a need to improve the current plans. The proposal addressed some of the less fundamental issues, such as flooding, the need to secure the boundaries and help protect users from the elements, but the redesign is seemingly being limited to the outer edges of the park with no real consideration for the central area. This was a once well-designed and well-loved park. 2005 saw the end of that well-designed park and the removal of the bulk of active leisure facilities. That some residents now refer to Jubilee Gardens as the field highlights the absolute need for a complete redesign, not a partial one. With funding now being made available, this is an opportunity to fundamentally change the park into something that actually looks and feels like a park, not a field. I won't go into all the required changes, but a central feature would be beneficial, and the need to review and amend the pathway plans is an absolute necessity. After all, the current west-east pathways take you out of the park rather than around it. You have to use Jubilee Drive pavement if you wish to rejoin the west-east pathways. The flaw in the plan needs resolving by adding a north-south pathway along the eastern side of the park. This is a once-in-a-generation opportunity to rejuvenate Jubilee Gardens, returning the park to what it should be, a more formally designed park that reflects the name of Jubilee Gardens. To ensure the council does not repeat the mistakes of 2005, perhaps a one-off overview scrutiny task group could look at the proposals after the post-consultation master plan changes have been implemented. I'm hoping that as the responsible cabinet member you can ensure the council does not miss the opportunity to return this once great park to its former glory. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Fail.
Yeah, we have very high aspirations for all of the parks and the plans that we're going through. Jubilee Gardens not being the least of them. It's an important green space for Cleveleys. It's important as well. I mean, I regularly go and walk my dog down there, so I see it a lot. You know, the cafe there and the walk along the beach and everything else. Yeah, it could be a very important focal point. With regard to the paths, etc., I mean, if you could just email me, and of course we will look at it. We're still, you know, we're several phases off. But the thing is, we want to get it done, and we want to get it done before the merge, because otherwise the money could just go. So we're not penny pinching, and we're not cutting corners, but what we are doing is we're wanting to start the ball rolling. But there's 3 phases to this anyway. So everything doesn't happen in phase 1. But yeah, I really want to see that to be a lovely park again. So, but if you could send me an email, and more than happy to look at the issues such as the paths. Of course, then.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Councillor Bridge. Councillor Minto.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Simon, if you remember, I sent you an email about the multiple dead trees that were alongside Amanda's Way. Could you give us an update on that, please?
I'll be honest with you, Ken, I'll have to write to you about that. I'm not sure what action's been taken, but I'll get back to you in the next couple of days. Right. Well, there's the part. I know part of the issue is whose responsibility it is. But I'll let you know where we are.
Right, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Councillor Bridge. We've got an ever-growing list, so we've got Councillor Rushforth next.
Hello, Councillor Bridge. It's me, not Rimmer.
Sorry.
Rushforth, not
Sorry.
Rimmer. Firstly, I have a question and a comment. So my question is to you with regards to section 3.2 of your report. I was very pleased to see that the fixed penalty notice is to be increased, and that's good work from your review and scrutiny task force. Can you explain to me, please, how fly tippers or police, as it were, how they are caught, both in the urban areas and in the more rural over Wyre areas, because we are often plagued with it too?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well,
That's my question.
it's very, very difficult is the answer. We do have an officer who will investigate. If it's a larger amount, it's sometimes easier to try and track and trace. But unless there's some sort of camera evidence or an eyewitness reporting it, it's very hard. Black bin bags are quite easy, because you'll normally find something in there that leads back to the polluter. But when it's things such as inert waste like rubble, which is a big more beds and settings, quite often they appear in the middle of the night. We just can't spot who's done it. But we do our best. We have a very efficient team. We've had a couple of big jobs on recently, taking action. So we're running hard, but it is difficult.
Okay, so now here's my comment. I thought it was a very, very good move to bring in licensing of waste carriers, because the number of members of the public who pay somebody to take their waste away, and they tend to be pretty unscrupulous, some of them, and will dump wherever. So I did think that was a really good, reassuring thing for the public to have.
Yeah, thank you. So it's just a case of education now, getting the message out to the public that if you pay somebody to take your rubbish away and they are not licensed, then you are liable as well. So that message needs to get out there, so that the person who's hiring the tipper is also responsible.
Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you.
We do have 2 names left on the list, and we're technically out of time, but I will allow them. Councillor Rimmer, did you want to say something?
It was only quick on parks. In response to your answer to Councillor Bale, you talked about ensuring parks finalised before things merge. I know Preesall Park scheduled for next year, but that's S106 money, so presumably that's ring fenced, except that there is a limit, 10 years or whatever, for that money to be used. So is there any time limit or anything we should know? Are the projects next year going ahead as planned, and you hope you'll finish them in time? Thanks.
We're hoping more will be going ahead than we've announced.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Ellison.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. 3.4 of your report, Councillor Bridge, will you consider future operations in Marsh North Thornton, and 3.7 regarding dog fouling. Could I have a copy of the letter, would that be possible to distribute around my area, please?
There's no GDPR issues, is there? As long as there's no, as long as there's no sort of GDPR issues, then absolutely get the message out there, and hopefully more people will report the abandoned vehicles and assistant dog parents. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think Councillor Sullivan for his hand up.
It's just a quick one. I just wanted to know, is there any reason why we couldn't put all of the registered or licensed waste carriers on the Wyre Council website? That way people can just access it directly and have a little bit more certainty, but obviously it's a registered or licensed organisation.
I'll look into it.
Thank you both. That concludes the Street Scene Parks and Open Spaces Portfolio Holders Report. And we'll now move on to the report of the Planning Policy and Economic Development Portfolio Holder. So, Councillor Marinell, would you please introduce your report?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Report for members. Happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Do we have any comments or questions? I see Mr. Minto's hand up. Councillor Duffy was first, and then we.
Oh, thank you.
Councillor Marinell, as you are aware, over the Easter Bank holiday weekend, the building formerly known as Lynn's Diner on Dock Street was demolished without authorisation. At April's full council meeting, I inquired whether formal legal action would be pursued against the property owner. The written response I received on your behalf was deeply disappointing. The justification provided stated that prosecution was not in the public interest. I and those members of the public that I've spoken to found this seemingly blanket rationale entirely unacceptable. The unauthorised works demonstrated a profound disregard for public safety, occurring without any necessary road closures or prior consultation with the Health and Safety Exec. Furthermore, I am deeply concerned by an additional reason cited in an officer response to me which said, and I quote, "The chronic staff shortages in building control at present makes enforcement very difficult to undertake and is a feature of this decision." That is a direct contradiction of Councillor Vincent's sentiments at 4.2 of his report, where he says Wyre provide an excellent service. It is exceedingly worrying that a critical regulatory department's lack of capacity is actively dictating enforcement policy. This sets a dangerous precedent for Wyre. I know that some may argue that enforcement must be proportionate and that the owner did cite Storm Dave as a reason the demolition was rushed. But when this council says that chronic staff shortages are a feature of the decision not to prosecute, you are no longer applying an objective legal public interest test. You are openly signalling that this borough is closed to building enforcement and open for all road developments. By admitting that a lack of staff capacity dictates your legal policy, cowboy builders now know that if they build or demolish illegally, this council does not have the team to stop them. Therefore, I ask you, the portfolio holder, what urgent and specific measures will you put in place to fix these severe staffing shortages in building control, and how will you ensure that a lack of departmental capacity never again prevents this council from taking robust enforcement action? And this is especially important in light of the recent fire at the former Store 21 on Law Street. I appreciate there are discussions and plans in the background afoot, and there is the bus service between Ash Street and the market that has been welcomed. But I'm getting emails, calls. Traders are still extremely concerned at the loss of trade and very worried at the prospect that they won't recover. We need reassurance that Wyre will act quickly and not 2 years down the line as with Dock Street, to ensure the building is made safe, the road opened, trade resumed, and that the building itself does not become another Lynn's Diner. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Duffy. Councillor Marinell.
Thank you for your long question. Yeah, it is difficult in building control, but it's the same in virtually every council around the country. I know it's not the answer you want to hear, but it's really, really difficult to actually to recruit building control officers. It's a case of because there's not enough of them, they just flip around from one council to another because they get better offers, and so it makes it really difficult. I know it's not the question, the answer you wanted to hear, but that's really the in a nutshell. There's not a lot they can do about it. You know, legal went to it as well, and they said difficult to enforce because of what's going on and the building control situation. So I'm sorry, it's not what you wanted to hear, but I mean that's what it actually is. Going on to Lord Street, we took legal advice. We want to do regarding a section 77 notice, of course, which you're aware of. We are statutorily obligated to let them have a go because we've got to be seen to be reasonable, of course, and they have stated numerous times that they want to do it themselves rather than us do it under the 77 and put a charge on the property itself. Because we've got seen to be reasonable, if we had gone to court and tried to get 77, we probably would have lost. We probably wouldn't have got it because they would have just said, we are being reasonable, we've offered to do it ourselves. I'd rather do it much quicker. We at the council have actually designed a structural scaffold, which they didn't have, and it would take a long time to get. So they are going to use that to install their own structural scaffolding as well, which is good. We've given them 14 days to implement it, and that's a strict 14 days. Once that time runs out, then we will enforce on the section 77 notice and go and do it ourselves and put a charge on the property itself, which is not they want to do, of course. Regarding the shuttle bus, the traders did put some money in when it first happened, so that at least there's a shuttle bus going up to the markets in that area. The council have paid the rest of the money since then. You'd be pleased to know that we are not going to put a recharge back onto the traders. We think the council should pay for the shuttle bus, and that's what's going to happen. And I hope that helps the traders going forward as well. And that's about it. Thank you.
So we just, I'm not arguing. I'm just with the shuttle bus. Then, are you going to reimburse the traders? They used forum money, didn't they?
They did.
I mean, if you're paying part of it, won't be fair to other local traders if you're paying for the bus to go near enough to the market on market days.
I'll take up the advice and I'll speak to Marianne. Thank you. Oh, and Claire.
Thank you, Councillor Marinell. We now have Councillor Walker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Firstly, I'd like to congratulate you on the excellent and varied work highlighted across different towns and villages, from the public realm works in Cleveland and youth events in Poulton, to the progressing master plan to Fleetwood and the newly completed heritage sign project in Garstown. Given the successful delivery of these initiatives, what specific plans or projects are currently being considered to ensure that the rural villages of Wysedale Ward also benefit from similar investment and support to boost their local visitor economy?
Councillor.
Thanks for the question, very specific on Wysedale. I'll get back to you if that's okay. Thank you very much indeed. I would like to say that the heritage stuff that's being done at the moment by Alex has been absolutely fantastic. She's done a really brilliant job. So, but I will get back to you on that. Thank you.
Councillor Lady Dulcia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, on the 31st of October, we had the new planning rules and regulations, and we've been looking at those as chairman and vice chairman together with you and the officers. And quite frankly, Mr. Chairman, I really do think that our democracy, not only for us as councillors, but for our constituents, is really going out the door with these new rules and regulations. What are your thoughts on this matter?
Care to respond?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for the question. Yeah, I mean, we had the Labour group abstain last time when we had the notice of motion, which you know about. Councillor Fylde described the motion. Of course, that was unclear and premature, and we could possibly add inaccurate, but we'll not go into that.
Thank you, Adrian.
And we should reconsider the matter. He said we should reconsider the matter once consultation period has ended. Well, consultation period has ended, and all the things that are in the notice of motion, we're going to go to on the 31st of October and more. The elected members of the planning committee will really be denied the ability to scrutinise nearly 98% of applications that come to this council, which is absolutely appalling. There'll be no scrutiny of care home applications that could dramatically impact residents' lives. There's no democracy. Planning committee sitting a few times a year to consider historic buildings and TPOs is just absolutely outrageous. And then virtually all the decisions that will be made by one single person. I find this utterly terrifying, and it puts a massive target on every senior planning officers back in the country, because they will be the ones targeted. They will be the ones that people point fingers at and say, oh, he's taken a brown envelope because it's not made the decision that maybe the panel have said that they don't agree with. So the whole thing is a complete dog's breakfast. I think Steve Reid just guessed about half the stuff he was going to do, taking it from Angela Rayner, who first put it forward in the first place, and he just doesn't seem to follow through the consequences of what he's actually proposing, especially where it is the one person concerned actually making all these decisions. But we're not surprised when it comes to the Labour Party. 26 U-turns Keir Starmer made. So everything they do seems to be a U-turn. So, Mr Mayor, it's an absolute mess. And it's just going to be even worse on 31st October when it's implemented.
Thank you, Councillor Libaranel. And last but not least, Councillor Minton.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Thank you. At last May's meeting, full council meeting, Councillor Rimmer asked if members could be kept up to date regarding the ferry. So are there any updates you could give us for us members, Councillor Rimmer? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yes, I can give members an update actually. Members will recall that the current operator didn't want to carry on with at the beginning of the season, and Reform LCC kept dragging their heels over committing to their side of the subsidy, which we already know, only agreeing after myself making it public in this chamber that they had been doing so. Then, miraculously, they came up with the money once I'd done that. Although Councillor Jones took to the social blame and Wyre fully for the ferry nearly ending, which was of course utter nonsense, because that was not the case, as part of the last negotiations with Reform LCC overfunding, we agreed to pay as they did to keep the ferry going over the summer, until we reach a new lease at the end of the summer for the next season. Reform LCC were recently invoiced for the latest £5,000, which they are not going to pay apparently, because they say they don't have the extra £5,000. I found that extremely worrying. Reform LCC's net budget for 26-27 is 1.33 billion, and £5,000 is 0.0004%. So if they can't find that, then what they're going to do when it comes to negotiating their half of the new lease, which will be considerably more than that, to keep the ferry going in the first place. Councillor Jones and the other Reform councillors sit in this chamber and have stated how important the ferry is to local communities on both sides of the river, as well as the tourists that use it, and Reform LCC are committed to keeping it and will work hard to do so. They can continuously carry on saying this stuff, which is a bit guff more than anything else. However, a recent meeting of Lancashire leaders, the Reform leader LCC, asked Councillor Vincent if the ferry had started up again. It seems it's not exactly that important to them at all in the end, does it? Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. So that concludes the consideration of the planning policy and economic development portfolios report. We'll now move on to the report of the neighbourhood services and community safety portfolio holder. Councillor Berry, would you please introduce your report?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. My report's before members. I'll do my best to respond to any questions.
That was a rapid response.
We'll just say no sticker off.
Councillor Walker, I think your hand went up first.
Which one?
You'll do.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The 4,800 secured for the Police and Crime Commissioner for Project Beacon to combat violence against women and girls and teach healthy masculinity is excellent news. Can you assure me that the rollout of the student and teacher initiative will include and actually support schools and young people living and studying out in our wider rural communities rather than just the hubs and the borough?
Thank you.
Thank you for your question. I think we've mentioned this to all the secondary schools in the Wyre area, so it is up to the schools to respond. We can't force them to do it, but obviously we're hoping that they will take up this because it's a very valuable asset that we can offer to the schools, not only to their pupils but to their teachers, to assist them in dealing with issues that do raise themselves in the schools. So I'm hoping that they will all take it up, but it's there for them all.
Thank you for that, Councillor. Councillor Walker, the other one.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. It's 5.2 particularly. What a list. This is a government that said they'd come in and protect and make changes for some of our most vulnerable in our borough. And you can see all those things there that are going to make a real change to the people who live here. Now, before you Shoke having to agree that the Labour government have done something good there, Councillor Berry. There's something else they've done this week that's even better in some ways, and that is, and going off, by the way, what the Mayor opened up with today, and we've got the lead for armed forces, but they've repealed the 1824 Vagrancy Act this week. This was specifically targeted at veterans in our country, and for 222 years this has been used against veterans and those who haven't the least. We've had support from Theresa May previously, Ian Duncan-Smith, and for our Reform colleagues Robert Jenrick. This government has actually achieved something this week and made a big difference as we go forward in housing.
Thank you. Thank you for that. It is valuable, isn't it, that we do treat, especially our veterans, in a proper manner, and try to look after them and assist them to sort out their issues and problems, which I have no doubt they do have. Yeah, I mean, I think it's good that our officers have drawn this list off of what these new powers are, what the new responsibilities are, to be quite honest. I mean, the argument against it was that it was all about Section 21, wasn't it? The right to with no excuse to ask people to get people to leave the properties, and the fear was that landlords would come out of the market, etc., etc. I think there has been some movement in the market, to be quite honest. I think a lot of private landlords are coming out, to be quite honest. So whilst it does give valuable rights, and I understand completely, it feels awful that somebody who's settled in a property then has got to leave and they've done nothing wrong. I accept that completely. It's just whether the market will continue. I'm hoping it will. We've still got to see evidence on that, but I think we will see more professional landlords, bigger companies coming into the market. I think there is evidence of that. The smaller privates will move out. It's too much for them to deal with. We're going to have larger landlords to deal with who have groups of properties. So they may present them the problems in themselves. We will have to face that, but I think by drawing people's attention to all this, you realise that our officers are very much on the ball and aware of what the legislation is, and they'll do their very, very best to enforce it. Thank you.
Thank you both. It's good to see that we've got all the multiple surnames on the one bench. Councillor Brian Stevenson.
Thank you, and I'm glad to you, Mr. Mayor. Councillor Berry, I think that what I'm about to ask is relevant to your authority. There's nothing down here, but it concerns the recent discussions about the future of Fleetwood Fire Station. Now, I've discussed actually this. Before I get into the nitty-gritty, I want just to say a few words. Before I fire any questions at you, I have a few things to say. I've discussed this with my son-in-law, the safety element and all that. And he's a very experienced, retired senior firefighter in the Merseyside area. And what he's had to say has been very helpful to me. Now, let's get cracking and get into something a little bit more more detailed. The nitty-gritty. And I won't be firing the questions on you at the end of it, so don't think I'm just wasting your time. It wasn't anything like that. Right, the Lancashire Fire Service, as you know, has recently completed a public consultation which closed on the 30th of June regarding a proposal to trial a flexible day crewing system. Right, for the all-time fire engine at Fleetwood Fire Station. Now, while the proposal maintains daytime emergency cover, it means firefighters will respond from their homes at night rather than from the station. And the first thing what strikes me as, will they be in bed like with alarm clocks, or will they be allowed to go out and have a few pints the night before? Or will there be a buzzer in the house to wake them up? It all seems to be rather vague, you know, and I don't think this is, I mean, my son-in-law never heard of this before. It's certainly not been applied or tried on the Merseyside. So, while the proposal maintains daytime emergency cover, it means firefighters will respond from their homes at night rather than from the station. That's it, there, in black and white. Adding an estimated 4 minutes to urgency response times during evening and night time hours. And my son-in-law said that 4 minutes is a hell of a time, it's between life and death. He said seconds, sometimes 10. So given that Fleetwood serves as a vital emergency hub within Wyre Borough, could the portfolio holder confirm the following? And here they are, only two, Roger, so not be too long. What the first one is, whether Wyre Council was formally consulted on this change during the consultation period. What if so, what official view or response, if any, was forthcoming, specifically regarding this trial, considering the potential impact that an extra 4-minute nighttime response delay might have on the broader community safety across Wyre. So I just like your response, and hopefully you've got something positive to have to the question I've just asked. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Stevenson. Even though it was a long and winding road, you got there. Councillor Derry.
Yeah, thank you for your question. I mean, really, I think this is an issue that really should go to the county council in the main. It is their fire and rescue service, and obviously it would have been a good idea to put it to the county council and discuss it with her. I think everyone was informed of the consultation, and it was up to people to put in their observations on it. And I think it would have been helpful to get some sort of professional observation on it, to be quite honest. I mean, if your family member has thoughts on it, I think their sort of thoughts are more valuable than laypersons. I mean, I am concerned because not only sort of are we talking about distances. I think the nearest station, is it Bispham? I'm trying to think, is it Bispham or Blackpool? It's quite some distance away, and not only are they attending fires, and of course we have that, we've had this recent fire in Fleetwood itself, but also they do attend really substantial road accidents, and which do occur particularly in the evenings, as we know. So it is a matter of concern. I think I've taken on board what you said. I take it as a valid point. I will certainly put myself, I will make a point myself on behalf of the Community Safety Partnership about it. I think it's valid, and I appreciate you putting it, but I think really, I hope that the County Council will be considering this carefully when it's considered and comes before the County Council as to whether this is going to be implemented. Can I just say that as ratepayers, we have paid for an increase on fire and rescue. I think offhand, I think it was a 5 or 6% increase on their budget. So, you know, we are contributing to it. So let's see the service that we deserve. I mean, I also take the point that fire and rescue do help sort of in provision of road safety in general, and I wouldn't like that to go. They look after young people as well. They do various things. They've been involved with Princess Trust. So I want them to be able to continue with those services, because it's not only attending fires, it's all the add-ons that they've taken on the board in the past And quite frankly, I'm just wondering who else is going to take that on board in their place. So we've paid the money, let's get the service. I will take it up, and thank you for your question, Brian.
Thank you very much, Ron. Thank you.
Thank you. So that concludes the consideration of the Neighbourhood Services and Community Safety Portfolio Holders Report. So we'll now move on to the report of the Leisure, Health and Community Engagement Portfolio Holder. Councillor Byrne, would you please deliver your report?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My report's before you. I'll be happy to answer questions. First of all, I'd just like to congratulate Anita, Karen, the groundwork staff and the other members of the cemetery services for receiving the gold standard certificate that they've got this year. I think this is about the third year on the trot that they've won this, so congratulations to them.
Do we have any questions for Councillor Bowen? Councillor Minto.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On Facebook, it was announced that the Marine Hall ran a very successful dance competition, and it was going to be booked in for 2027. So all the people had booked into the hotels in Fleetwood and in the guest houses, and they were pretty much full. So they were very happy. Then they got a directive from the Marine Hall saying that they would not be putting the dance festival on. Could you shed some light on this, please? Thank
Yes.
Councillor Bowen.
Okay. Right. The organised checked availability for next year. The organisers checked availability before next year's event, but did not book it. We made it clear that, like all new events at the Marine Hall, we would review post-event to ensure it was the right thing for the Marine Hall and the organisers. The event was 18 hours each day, including bank holiday. The Marine Hall team can do these hours, but firstly, it demands that staff take between 50 and 100 hours off toil post-event, making it impossible to operate the venue in the month after this dance festival. And additionally, to cover the sheer amount of hours, we need some agency staff to fill the gaps. After the event, we looked at the operational issues already outlined above and found we lost a considerable amount of money. While we deliver economic benefits for the area, this was too expensive. Dean Stewart explained this to the organisers and agreed they did not make a booking. He put forward an alternative of less hours on the same day so it wouldn't impact on local hotel bookings. Unfortunately, the organiser was taken ill before this year's event. Another person came in and changed everything that they'd already planned, and it came to light that they'd already booked the Norcross Hotel before, the Norbrett Hotel, before they'd had all these conversations with Dean Stewart.
Thank you, Councillor Bowen. Councillor Lee.
Yeah, mine's just a quick one. It's just regarding 6.2 of the report, the Arstan Walking Festival. So I recently completed a half marathon last weekend to raise money for cancer research. Part of the training was participating in the walking festival. I just wanted to say how wonderfully organised it was. It was clear from the event how much everybody enjoyed it. So I just wanted my thanks to be passed on to the organisers, all the volunteers, the rangers, the leaders for the hard work and dedication, because it was a wonderful event. And it was very popular as well, brought everybody together. So thank you.
Councillor Bowen.
Yeah, I'll pass that on, but it's getting more and more popular every year, and it's a fantastic event, and they come from all over the place to go into it. So yeah, it is amazing. Thank you.
Councillor Allison.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I apologise it's not on your report, but it's great to see Coastal Radio being part of the new chapter of Poulton-le-Fylde. Great news. And 3.1 of your report, it's great to hear that Poulton-le-Fylde has taken over the management of Poulton-le-Fylde Sports Centre. I'm sure their experience in running leisure facilities will help ensure the centre continues to provide excellent opportunities for fitness, health and community activities. Dropping myself to see the refurbishment programme and also been receiving some positive comments from the the active wellbeing programmes that are held there as well. So that's fantastic. Now, look forward to an even brighter future for the sports centre. However, is there anything planned for the youth in Taunton?
Do you mean at the leisure centre?
Yes.
Well, for the younger youths, they're having where the skate park was. That's going to be made into two separate places. One for small children's soft play area, and the other one for teenagers. So there will be something. I mean, there's lots and lots of things they can be doing there, but that is one new thing what they're actually working on now.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Molyneux.
Right, hearing that, more regularly as Lynn knows, to the active wellness suite there. Now, we've been backwards and forwards with emails, fine, because the questions I've been asking before I'm going to ask again. Regarding the staffing of the wellness centre, it's been diabolical, and I'm getting a lot of earache from people in there all the time because I go practically every day, that they don't feel safe anymore. There's nobody sat at the desk. It takes too long for anybody to come, and if they press something, there's a button on the machines. It took 10 minutes the other day for somebody to come from reception to the suite. They're also complaining about, we don't think we're getting value for money. When we joined, we paid for a service which they don't believe they're getting. To have somebody there who can rectify them if they're doing the machines wrong, which very often they do, and even I do things wrong. The gentleman who's been in charge, he's now been made manager, he's having to work between the gym upstairs and the wellness suite, so he's very rarely there for very long. Now, the amount of times I'm in there can be morning, can be midday, can be late afternoon, completely on our own. We're leaving people in there on their own. Now, these are people who have had hip operations, knee operations, back operations, not well people. Neurodiverse people, and they get a little bit afraid of something happening while they're in there with no supervision whatsoever, so it's a health and safety issue. Now, I know you did say that they were looking for new staff. I was under the impression that somebody was going to start. They haven't. I was told that they haven't found a suitable staff member yet to bring in more services to be sat at that desk and to help out. Do you know what, the question I'm going to ask is, have you any time scale on them actually employing somebody in the place of the fact that the last person retired, a young gentleman I think who was being trained up, went with the YMCA to a housing department in Fleetwood, which left 2 people less in that service. Basically, so I can answer their questions.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Can you turn your mic off, please?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's unacceptable, leaving people in that wellness suite like that. I will look into it. I'm amazed, really, that that's happening. But I do know that they're trying to recruit staff in all the centres and train them. So I will get you an answer for that and find out exactly what's happening.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Bowen. So that concludes the consideration of the Leisure, Health and Community Engagement Portfolio Holders Report. So now is the opportunity for members of the Cabinet to make comments or ask questions on the reports of their colleagues. Do any of you wish to do so? Councillor Lynn Marinell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wonder whether Councillor Vinton would like to comment on Councillor Berry's new appointment at the PCB.
I would. Mr. Mayor, just to congratulate Councillor Berry. his appointment as chair reflects how well respected he is amongst that panel from all sides of the political spectrum. Everyone knows that Roger is the fair and reasonable one of the two of us. He will do an excellent job, and we are lucky to be represented so strongly on that with himself and Councillor Wyre.
Thank you very much.
Do any other cabinet members want to speak about anything concerning the other members? Take that as a no then, thank you. So we've got no more questions or comments. So that concludes consideration of his executive reports. So we'll now move on to agenda item 8, Licensing Act 2003, revised statement of the licensing policy. So Councillor Berry, could you introduce the report, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The report is there. It's quite an extensive report containing all the licensing policy in complete detail. The recommendation is that this licensing policy, which runs from 2026 to 2031, be adopted by the Council with immediate effect. This policy has been considered by the Licensing Committee. It's also been subject to outside consultation, and I fully appreciate the work that the Licensing Committee and the Chair, Councillor Colette Birch, have put into this, looking at it in detail. And I'd like to also thank the licensing team, led by Patrick Cantley, for all the work that they've put into it. They've tried to cover every angle of this important area of work that the councillors do carry out for us all, to balance the rights of people to have licensed premises with the responsibilities that they have and they hold to our residents, to make sure they're safe and that the provision is appropriate for the area. So I'd like to thank anyone, and I'll take any questions if there are anybody. I hope nobody's put the licensing policy through AI after our session before this meeting, because I haven't had time to go into AI to have some suitable responses to those questions. So, but I'll do my best if anyone has any points they wish to raise. Thank you,
I'll take it that's your proposal. Is there a seconder, please?
Yeah, I'll second that, Mr. Mayor. I can just say a few words as well, just about the state of licensing in Wyre. Kate Nichols, the Chief Executive of UK Hospitality, says that Labour's national insurance and business rate hike are wiping out the already slim profit margins across the sector. You can try and disrupt it as much as you want to, but these are facts. If you're not bothered about people going out of business,
you weren't bothered about fact before in the minutes.
6 hospitality venues per day are at risk of closing. Chef Tom Kerridge has called for a cut in VAT. While this is a strong licensing policy that protects the public without placing disproportionate burdens on the licensed sector, we risk it ceasing to exist altogether if something isn't done. So I was delighted, Mr. to receive a letter today from the Right Honourable Steve Reid MP telling me that the government were supporting the hospitality sector by allowing them to stay open until 3:45 AM on a Monday morning so people can watch a football match.
Big deal.
Thank you, Councillor. So you've got the opportunity to make any comments or ask any questions correctly. So do we have anyone who wants to put the hand up?
No.
No. Yep. So we've got no questions or comments, so therefore we conclude the debate. So would members please vote now on the recommendation? Those in favour, please show hands. Well, I won't ask the other 2 questions, it's unanimous.
Good. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
So the next item is item 9, Article 4, Direction, Houses in Multiple Occupation Confirmation. So Article 4, Direction of Houses in Multiple Occupation. Councillor Le Marinel, would you please introduce the report and propose the recommendation?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, the article, the item before members are quite happy to take any questions if needed, and I propose a recommendation 3.1. Thank you.
Do we have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Vincent. Do we have any comments, questions or amendments? Take that as a no then.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Improved housing standard is something to be welcomed, and this recommendation will help in that regard. If this helps reduce the numbers having to live in houses in multiple occupation, that can only be a good thing. The increase in HMOs in recent decades has had nothing to do with a concern over providing sufficient housing. It has been about developers maximising the return on their investment. It is about getting away with whatever they can, keeping bedroom to bathroom ratios and bedroom to kitchen ratios as high as possible with no concern for living conditions. Better controlling HMOs means higher standards and better outcomes for residents. The recommendation tightens the rules surrounding HMOs, and consequently the Labour Group will be supporting the recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Marino.
Thank you for that, Councillor Phil. We often agree on some stuff, and this is certainly something we agree on. Fleetwood and Cleveland are particularly hard hit with this, and it has been happening for far too long as far as I'm concerned. So I do totally agree with you. So thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
So that concludes the debate. Can I ask members to vote now on the recommendations? Those in favour, please raise your arm. Don't need to ask the second two questions then. So that was unanimous. So the recommendation is approved. Next item is item 10, Treasury Management Outturn Report 2025-2026. So I'll ask Councillor McKay, would you please introduce the report and propose the recommendation?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Happy to put forward the recommendation at 3.1 and happy to take any questions.
Do we have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor. Do we have any comments, questions or amendments? Councillor Walker with the glasses. Oh, same.
Say the one we know where.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, a good try. Just to congratulate the officers, I mean, we tried a little while ago to push forward an ethical investment policy, and we seem to have found a different way, and that seems to still delivering good, healthy results for the borough. And just like to congratulate the officers for the hard work they're doing now in leaning towards an ethical way of investing.
Here. Councillor McKay, would you like to respond?
Yeah, I totally agree, and thank Councillor Walker for continually, bringing it forward, because it was an important issue. And if I can draw members' attention to paragraph 6.1, it's an excellent paragraph of quite a dull report, but it is excellent what the officers have come up with, and I hope it shows our values, but also, like Councillor Walker said, it sort of ticks the boxes and it does what the policy needs to do. So yeah, congratulate the officers.
Thank you, Councillor. I think that concludes the debate. So would members please vote now on the recommendation. Those in favour, please show your hands. It's getting boring, this. None against and no abstentions, so the recommendation is approved. So the next item is item 11, Overview and Scrutiny Committee Annual Report. So Councillor Cartridge, would you please introduce your report?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The report is before members. I'm happy to take any questions.
I can see hands for 1, 2. Any advance? You'll go, Councillor Higginson.
Well, I'm just wondering, when we came into the Civic Centre today, there's a lot of junk in the Labour office. I wonder if you could scrutinise that for us. Can somebody tell us what it's doing there? Would you please remove it?
The council
I'd like to have a brief meeting.
Free Is it free gift?
Would you scrutinise that one, please? Thank you.
That's something I'll have to be looked into. I know nothing about that, I'm afraid.
Well, you do now. Thank you very much.
Well, I stuck my head in there just to see what the enemy were up to. There was a huge TV screen, a trolley and all sorts of clutter in there.
There's an easel on quite a lot of
Let's get it down.
So do we have any more questions or comments? Yes, thank you, Councillor.
Just a very quick one, it's an interesting report, thank you. I noted there's some work being done on communication with residents regarding climate change. So if there's any particular minutes or report you could point me to in writing, that would be great, thanks.
I can always pass that over to Robert to get in contact with you, but I'm happy to take the lead on that. Okay.
With permission, Mr Mayor, as you will know, the subcommittee meets on a fairly regular basis. We have another meeting shortly, and then some proposals to put to Cabinet about what climate change has been discussed. If you'd like a copy of that report, I'm sure it can be arranged.
Do I see Councillor Rushforth? No? Councillor Vincent.
It was just to thank Councillor Cartridge and the Open Security Committee for the work they do, and everybody who's chaired the task group. I think the task groups are a good opportunity for people to take the lead on something that matters a lot to them. I know the Deputy Mayor did a lot of good work on the fly tipping one, and various other members as well. So they do excellent work. So if you fancy a bit of fun, please have a go at one.
I believe there's a very tardy hand just gone up.
Yes, yes, I remembered. Yes, I thought when I read through the report to do with overview and scrutiny, I actually thought, what a good job you've done. You've brought some things to life, they've been implemented, and it's a very practical look at what the council does. So congratulations to you. Sorry I forgot.
Thank you, Councillor Ruffley. As I said in my chairs forward, there's so many people to thank for ONS. I mean, I've got to say, the officers' work has been fantastic. I would, in particular, like to thank Democratic Services for Jack's contribution. But also Sandy Lee, who's there virtually every single meeting, and she keeps us very well informed, so thank you very much.
Well, while you revel in the praise, I'll consider the report noted. So the next item is item 12. So Councillor Vincent, would you please introduce the report and propose the recommendations?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Firstly, I want to pay tribute to Marianne Esketh. Marianne's worked her way up through the council to the rank of director. She's one of the most well-liked and respected officers that we have. She's accepted a purported promotion to the Soviet People's Republic of Preston as Deputy Chief Executive, and this council is losing one of its best. She's a large portfolio of successes, but leaves having recently overseen the new leisure contract and the successful UK SPF programme. Preston is lucky to have her, and she will be missed. But every cloud has a silver lining, Mr Mayor, and we are incredibly lucky to have so many capable officers who are ready and able to step up to the next level. All of those who put themselves forwards did brilliantly and could have done the job well. However, the panel agreed that Joe Billington was the person to step up. Joe has sat in on my weekly briefings with Roger and the Chief and Corporate Management Team, Management Board and Cabinet since she became Monitoring Officer. She's made that role her own and has become a valuable member of the Corporate Management Team. She will seamlessly slide into her new role. Joe is hard-working, dedicated, talented and deserves this promotion. So I'm delighted to propose the report and that she be appointed as Director of Governance and Communities.
Thank you. Is there a seconder?
I'll second it, Mr Mayor, and echo the thoughts of the leader. I think I'd like to just join in and thanks to Marianne for all you've done. You've taken up some difficult tasks that we had, dealing with difficult situations. You've dealt with them with considerable amount of professionalism, and we will miss you. And all the very best for the future. But all at the same time, I'd like to congratulate Jo Billington on her appointment. She's already proved that she will be stepping up to the directorship and serving very well indeed. So congratulations to Jo, because she has worked hard on behalf of the council
and she's done a lot of work that we find important from the management point of view, how things should be conducted properly, and we're glad to have her services on board. I'm more than happy to second the proposal.
Thank you, and I wholeheartedly support what's been said as well. Does anybody have a question or a comment? We've got to make a list, you know.
That's a very quick one.
Thank you.
Right, okay. Good luck in the People's Republic of
Absolutely.
Good
luck.
Soviet People's Republic.
Councillor Marinell.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd just like to echo the same thing to Marianne. When I first became portfolio holder, I asked lots and lots and lots of questions, and I must have driven her absolutely insane half the time. But she was very patient, gave some great advice and stuff, so I'd just like to say congratulations on your appointment, and we'll miss you. Thank you. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
I don't stereotype Scousers, but I have left your tyres down. So that concludes the debate. Would members please vote now on the recommendations? Those in favour, please show. Any against? Any abstentions? Thank you. So the recommendations has been approved, as we have a majority. So, Joanne Billington, please re-enter the room. Sachet in. Thank you. We have no motions on notice tonight. Therefore, we've looked to hear this. I call this meeting to a close.